The same creators of Scary Movie thought it was a good idea to create a parody of superheroes such as Spider-Man, Wolverine, Invisible Woman, and even Stephen Hawking. But the project got out of control when they asked the director how many jokes he wanted. That's why today on The Summarizer, Superhero Movie. This is the story of Rick Riker, who is like any other Peter Parker, goes to high school, is not very popular, and lives with his Uncle Albert and Aunt Lucille. Rick has trouble getting on the bus, like Peter Parker. He is in love with Jill, who is his neighbor and schoolmate, like Peter Parker, and also has a high school friend named Trey, not like Peter Parker. And lastly, there's Lance, who is the classic stupid middle school bully who dates Jill. One day, Rick and his class go on a school trip to an animal research lab where they're shown a lot of genetically modified animals. Rick tries to talk to the girl he likes, but after talking literally 2 words, he starts taking pictures of the animals, not knowing that they are sensitive to flash light. He tries to hide the dead bird, but he wants to fight, but this man stops him. Lou Landers, who is Lance's uncle, is the multi-millionaire scientist president of the lab. Apparently Lou knew Rick's parents, and they talk for a while.
How are they?
They died violently 9 years ago.
But otherwise okay?
Yes, thank you.
But he has a problem. He's dying.
Are you okay?
Yes, this is healthy golf blood.
Eventually, Lou leaves and Lance takes the opportunity to push Rick on top of the animal shit. Rick starts to clean himself up, but gets confused and uses a pheromone that attracts all the animals. But this pheromone not only attracts animals, it also attracts this dragonfly with super strength, which bites Rick's neck. Once at home, Rick feels sick from the dragonfly's sting and goes up to his room. There, his uncle, who saw him come in a little strange, gives him some advice to make him feel better before he passes out.
And once a month you'll bleed from your vagina. This may be the wrong book.
Meanwhile, Lou Landers, who has only 1 hour to live, shows the lab management this new machine that can alter DNA and restore the body's health, or something like that. So at that point, they set out to use the machine, even though it was never tested. When it is about to finally work, the core of it overheats, and pieces of the machine come out all over the place. It didn't work, but now magically, Lou has super strength and the ability to absorb people's vitality. So he starts attacking and sucking the life out of the board members. A few days later, Rick gets out of bed and starts searching the internet for information about dragonfly stings. There, someone strange from the internet called Professor X sends him a message and tells him that later he will contact him. He also takes the opportunity to look for a while at the girl he likes, whose window is right in front of his room. That same day at school, there's a science fair, and one of the jury is the famous Stephen Hawking, who has been working with a material known as Ceruleum.
I think about suicide every day. Anyone wanna get high? I've got some hash with me.
After the jury presentation, Rick arrives at the high school and begins to discover his powers. These things that used to grow on Spider-Man's hands start to grow on his hands, and he gets stuck with the school drinking fountain. He hits Lance again, and another fight starts up.
Shit.
After all that mess, Rick starts to test his powers. He discovers that he can climb walls and saves an old woman from being hit by a truck with no brakes. Well, he tries to save her, which is the important thing. Upon returning home, Rick meets his Uncle Albert and his best friend Trey and tells them that he now has superpowers, but he doesn't know which ones yet. His uncle at first doesn't believe it and asks him to demonstrate some of his powers.
Go ahead and throw as many punches as you want. I bet you $100 you don't land one.
Easy money.
After this, they realize he also has armored skin, and his friend Trey proposes to be a team.
We could be a team! We gonna get fame, money.
Don't forget the bitches.
After a brief talk with his uncle, Rick goes out to his backyard and begins to remember how his parents died.
Give me your wallet.
Or should we say, how he, trying to be the hero, got them killed by a burglar. We also learn that the girl he likes has problems with his parents, and after talking for a while, Lance picks her up in his car. The next day, Rick looks for a car so he can someday pick up his girl and replace his old bike. Finally, he ends up going to the bank with his aunt so he can get a loan to buy his own car, but they can't give it to him because he doesn't have a job.
Rubbing my crotch under the desk won't change my mind.
I'm not rubbing your crotch.
But at that moment, a thief comes in to rob the bank.
Get down.
Like in the Spider-Man scene, Rick lets him get away, and outside they hear some gunshots. A group of people are all around, but that's for a monkey. The almost dead uncle's on the side just lying on the asphalt, and before dying he says the iconic phrase,
"With great power comes..."
Great responsibility?
I was going to stick with bitches, but...
After visiting his uncle, who after the shooting is in a coma in the hospital, Professor Xavier finds him and takes him to this school for people with special talents, where there is Wolverine and other young people with superpowers. There he tells him that he has the potential to be the best of all, and that to fly, he needs to understand the nature of heroism. But the important thing is that he discovers the secret to being a superhero.
Make a costume, shithead!
After making several drawings, he gets his final Dragonfly costume and begins his work as a hero. On the terrace of a building, he meets the Human Torch, but he catches fire and ends up falling down the terrace. But the important thing is that finally the Dragonfly can start doing what all superheroes do. Meanwhile, Lou learns that he must kill one person a day in order to survive, or else he must get Ceruleum, and so he decides to go steal it from a science expo.
Survive! Oh, flash on my eye.
At a newsstand, Rick learns that they are paying money for photos of the Dragonfly, so he heads to the newspaper offices. There he brings them some photos that he clearly took himself in his room, and quickly leaves because he hears that something is going on at a university. Lou, who now goes by the name of Hourglass, has just stolen the Ceruleum, and at that moment, our hero shows up. But after a brief fight, the supervillain throws some titanium blades at him and manages to hurt him and then escape.
Titanium blades! They cut through diamonds!
I'm not wearing any diamonds.
After this, Rick returns home and his aunt advises him to keep his identity secret, so that the villains do not attack his family and he can take care of the people he loves most. And we also see on TV that the police begin to distrust the Dragonfly's usefulness.
What Empire City needs is more cops. And a Hooters.
That same night, Rick goes to the exit of a theater to take some flowers to the girl he likes, but doing what his aunt told him, he doesn't tell her about his superpowers. But as Jill is leaving, some guys try to harass her, and that's when our hero shows up to save his girl. After saving her, she wants to thank him by giving him the iconic Spider-Man kiss. Finally, they both kiss, and Rick leaves to continue doing his duty as a superhero. The villain now starts to develop a machine to kill a lot of people and achieve immortality. In the evening, it's Thanksgiving dinner, so they all gather together at Rick's aunt and uncle's house. The aunt cooks a stuffed turkey, quite stuffed. And when Lance arrives, we see he's brought his uncle too.
Your uncle?
What? Set another plate.
Lou goes up to the room to get Rick, but the guy only just comes back in the Dragonfly suit. Just as Lou comes downstairs, Rick enters and the food is ready to sit down to eat.
Not till we say grace.
Rick tells them about his new job as the Dragonfly's photographer, but the villain becomes suspicious, and they both start asking each other questions about the reason for his cuts and bruises on their bodies.
My crack pipe broke.
Met a girl on Craigslist.
Guy on Craigslist.
We have to go.
Why?
I shot my pants.
Lance and his uncle leave, but not for long, because while Rick and Jill get to talking and try to kiss with his aunt sleeping next to them, the villain shows up, breaking the whole house, and after Rick passes out, he attacks his aunt. It turns out that after the attack, the aunt is in the hospital, so Rick asks the doctor about her health.
Your aunt has no problem with her bowels.
Oh, thank God.
Because she's dead.
But the good news is that his uncle came out of the coma today and is alive, but they shouldn't tell him about his aunt, because bad news could put him back into a coma.
You have a visitor.
Is it Lucille?
No, sir, it's not your dead wife. It's your nephew, Rick.
The next day at the cemetery, at first they find the wrong coffin, but then with his wife's body, Lucille ends up setting on fire. In order to protect her, Rick tells his girl that he doesn't love her and returns home. Once there, he goes into depression, but his uncle gives him his father's ring, and after a few inspirational phrases, Rick prepares to go stop the villain at the city convention. So Uncle Albert takes them in his car.
Well, that shortcut to the playground sure saved us some time.
Already at the event, Rick finds Lou, but he's kinda stupid and doesn't realize that he's Hourglass, so he asks him for help to find the villain, and he tells him that he is the Dalai Lama. While the fight is going on, Jill realizes that Lou is Hourglass, but he runs off to a costume convention next to the event. Rick goes to look for him, but the villain drops a piece of ceiling on him, and when he's about to throw one of these knives at him, Jill sacrifices for her hero. The Hourglass escapes, but Rick chases him to the top of the building and manages to use the machine to revive his girl. But when the villain is about to kill thousands of people and achieve immortality, our hero appears to save the day.
Oh, fuck.
With the explosion, Jill goes flying and Rick jumps in to save her. During the fall, she realizes it's Rick because of her father's ring, and wings appear and he manages to save her. And if you thought there weren't any stupid scenes left, after the credits, there are more.
I will forever be a superhero.
That was Superhero Movie. Comment what series or movie you'd like me to summarize for future videos. See you later.
Go to work.
Okay. Bye.